Welcome back to the Getting to Know Denver podcast, and this is episode 141. There are a lot of Denver homeowners right now who are asking this question. I'm sitting on a 3% or better interest rate. Should I move or should I stay? And what makes sense? And so we're going to talk about this today because we talked about talked to a lot of people here that we know that have said, I'd love to move, but I'm not going to leave my mortgage.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. Like, why would you leave a 3% interest rate to take on a 5 or 6 or 7% interest rate? And so it's a fair question, but here's the problem. Life needs continue to change all the time. And so does your home still serve your needs, right? Is the big question that a lot of people are asking. And so we're going to talk about this dilemma and both sides of the argument today. And maybe you can relate if you're listening in and you have one of these rates. It may be relevant to your situation because I'm sure your life has changed a little bit since 2020 or 2021 when you got that rate. And so we'll talk through this and we'll talk about, why first these low interest rates are so valuable.
I feel like we need a disclaimer to say that I don't think we're ever going to see another 3%. So it's a very unique situation that we're dealing with from when it was. But, part of the conversation started like, well, I'm going to wait till they go back down. They're not going to go down.
It was an artificial prop up of the economy, and it's actually done a pretty big disservice, right? It caused a lot of appreciation for folks so that are now feeling that pain, but there is a big math difference.
Anyway, so that's my point. All right, so what is the power of a 3% interest rate? Well, why it matters is you can do the math. I don't have a spreadsheet in front of me.
I happen to have the numbers.
So for a
$500,000 loan on a 30-year fixed loan at 3%, your payment's $2,108, and at 6%, your payment's $2,997.
$900 a month. So
$900 a month.
Why it matters is for that, because it's a lot of money.
And over 30 years, that's $320,000 worth of savings.
Wow. In pure interest.
In pure interest. Yeah. So $900 a month out to 30 years.
Okay.
Dang. Yeah.
So in closing, you should.
That adds up.
But now that assumes that your loan balance is the exact same, right? Apples to apples, but life happens.
So it matters for that reason. It's financial. That's no denying.
Yeah.
I think the point, and maybe we just cut to it, is the question we often ask is A, is it going to get there again? No, it's not. And B, does your house fit your needs? Well, no. Well, then a 3% is a wonderful thing. We've talked about assumable loans, and some percentage of time, maybe it's relevant that you can pass it on to someone else. But more often, our business is about your life is your life. It happens. It's evolved. And that house that has a wonderful interest rate is no longer a house that serves your needs. So math is math, but it's only part of the problem. Maybe that's a good pass off.
But if you had a 3% interest and you've been paying it down for 5 years, you should have a lot more equity than...
Which is free money you can play with,
Yeah, and then obviously some reasons people outgrow their homes and it might not be worth the rate anymore is growing families, empty nesters, new jobs, divorce, retirement, and then just the desire for a different lifestyle or wanting less maintenance maybe. Many homeowners feel trapped between two competing realities, which is my home no longer fits my needs, but then also I don't want to lose my mortgage. So the question isn't simply whether your mortgage is good. The question is whether your home still fits your life as well. And that's where a lot of homeowners can make a mistake by focusing entirely on the payment.
Yeah. Obviously, the numbers and the math lines up. It's, lower the interest rate, the better off you're going to be. But there are other ways to incentivize a current home purchase to help get you there. I just had one close at 3.875%. And that's a new build. So if you want to figure out how to do that, please reach out. So,
How would you do that, Brock?
We can copy and paste.
You can't do that right now. How would you do that?
We cannot, but a builder can.
Yes, a builder can do that, and knowing which builder is on which financial cycles, knowing when they would need to close their end of their quarter, and having both buyers that are really motivated and ready to go, that can save you a lot of money. So
how do builders do that?
They buy down the rate significantly when they do a bulk mortgage purchase.
Interesting. So hundreds, like we're talking a lot of money, right? Going into a bulk buy down that costs a fortune for a builder to do that. Why would the builder do that?
To incentivize to get the inventory off of their books, because they've got a lot of carrying costs to have all of those homes sitting there empty.
Yeah, interesting. So they know that they have to do that to incentivize new home buyers to buy houses, and it's taking buyers away from resales right now. But that's beside the point. So I was number
That
one
does
on
not
Gabby's.
change the fact that rates will never go down to 3.
Yeah,
You can buy them down there, but
but it costs a lot of money.
it costs a lot of money and you have to have a lot of incentive. Right now, builders do. That's a whole nother.
So, but once you go past the interest rate, there's home equity that's gained, right? You've got appreciation in the homes, lifestyle improvement. I know some folks that have taken jobs and their commute is 30, 40, 50 minutes. That adds up, and you got wear and tear in your car, and you start to do that. I saw a really good breakdown of somebody who was offered $75K for a work from home job versus $100K to work in the same job to work in the office. They're like, oh, they did the breakdown. It's like, well, it's going to cost me a car. It's going to cost me this. So commute time really adds up. So the other thing, we've got, a fantastic interest rate, hundred of thousands in equity. So if your home no longer meets your needs and you've been using that interest rate to your advantage, you've got a lot more equity that gives you a bigger shovel to be able to make a move. So most people, they're either moving up in house or moving down in house, right? They're not just doing a lateral move most of the time, because of expanding families or shrinking families, right? Kids are going off to college, so be it.
Yeah,
So-
I was number one on Gabby's list there. Like growing family. That's the reason why we left our 2.25% interest rate on a 10-year loan that we were 2 years into. And just to like relay the facts, like our mortgage payment was about $3,700 a month, and about $2,600 of that was going towards principal every month. So I was paying myself $2,600 and paying about $1,100 in cost to live there, between interest, insurance, and taxes. So just to put it into perspective, right, on a 10-year loan. Now, fast forward, we had a fourth kid. We ended up moving because we needed more space in our new house.
Fourth kid?
Well, this was when we had our
when you
fourth
moved.
kid.
Okay, yeah.
He was 2 at the time, and we were
You're
just
like
realizing.
Goldfish. You just expanded the space that you're in.
Also, you have your teenagers get bigger, and they need more space.
Yeah.
And you keep bumping into them in the
And you
kitchen
need-
all the time.
And you need more fridges to house all that protein.
Fridges, dishwashers, laundry, everything. Yeah. And so the need for more space was pretty apparent for us. And so we bit the bullet, and leaving that interest rate. It was hard to do. I agonized over it. And then we ended up doing a 2-1 buy down where we got a temporary 2% less rate for the first year, 1% less the second year. And then that rate is now up to the full mark, which at the time when we bought it, rates were at 7.2%, which is way worse than they are today, 6.5%. So basically, my rate went from 2.25 to 7.2, and payment went from $3,700 to $6,800, right, in that same span. And my principal earned went from $2,600 to
Per month.
about $800 per month on a 30-year loan is what I earn on my loan right now, which I'm not going to stay in for very much longer. But don't do what I did. I'm just kidding. Listen to what I say, not what I did. No, there was a life need, right? And so sometimes your life needs outweigh your financial needs, or the best, smartest financial thing to do at the time. And we knew we wanted to grow our family a little bit more, and ended up having a fifth kid. And so and then didn't need to move after that next one because we were in a good spot. And so I think that's the key is
He's not
rates.
going to be able to go to college, but that's
That's beyond the point. Sorry, Miley. Yeah. But just your wave of life events happens, but also interest rates continue to ebb and flow. And yeah, they may not get down to 3 again, but I'm counting on. I'm going to see a rate in the 4s. I will. We'll see a rate in the 4s in our lifetime. In the next 10 years, I almost guarantee that we will see a rate in the 4s. And
Bold
it could
prediction.
take a pull
Hold
of the
on, yeah,
table.
let's-
I'm not with you,
be.
but
You're saying no on any 499 in the next 10 years.
Okay.
I would bet heavily on that.
499, yeah, because I think we'll get into the,
Heavily on that. And it could be, for me, it could be a 15-year loan, you know, and those are the ones I like better. I like the shorter terms. So if it's a 499 on a 15-year, which we're almost there right now, those are like 5.5 right now or something like that. So, but I could see, you know, that's probably my next play, is to get into something where I'm paying way more principal per month and a lower interest rate because the term's shorter. And that's just what I like to do. But everybody has their own preferences.
Here's something else that we haven't talked about. If you have a 3% interest rate, why not turn that house into a rental? Because it's going to probably cash flow, and that cash flow can generally cover the delta in your payment. You know, we talked about $900 a month. You might be able to cash flow that in and be able to move into that next home.
Yeah.
certainly it depends if you're expanding your family, moving up, that makes that a little harder. If you're kind of past that stage and you're moving down, slam dunk.
Yeah.
I agonized
'Cause
over
if
that
you-
decision too. Agony, just absolute pure agony. And then I decided that I didn't want to turn 9 years of appreciation where my home had doubled in value into taxable money. And that was the big thing there, was the
And
gains.
My wife made a really interesting point. I don't want to see the home that we have memories in turn into a rental property where someone doesn't take care of it like we do.
Yeah,
So
Yep.
there's a twist there, but it depends on your timing.
totally. And if I had like maybe 3 to 5 years of gains in that property, and it wasn't as steep of gains, because the time that we bought it would just there was a lot of appreciation that happened, then I would have for sure. I think I would have rented the place out, you know, and kept it so that we retain the asset and to retain the interest rate, because that was an asset in itself. A low interest rate is an asset to you. But in this case, you know, you live in a place. Talk to a CPA because they know all the answers on this. But you know, you live in a place and then you rent it out after you lived in it for a while, and then it becomes all taxable. And so you have to consider your options there and understand that before you make decisions as far as that stuff goes. So we always recommend talking to a tax professional before you do that.
But there are logical times to stay. Like if it still fits your needs and you have a 3% rate, that's a really good reason to stay put.
Yeah. Well, a lot of my friends, they've realized that, like, if they can hold on through the crowded stage of their home, their kids start leaving. and then the home fits again.
Yeah.
It's perfect. So we may have gotten there, you know, like 4 or 5 years down the road, as, you know, my oldest two have left the house and stuff. But, you know, at this point, we're still in the thick of it. So we weren't willing to wait that long. But I think, yeah, it could recycle back, right? Just like baggy jeans are back in style. Like, it does come back eventually.
Your Oshkosh Bagosh overalls are right there.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
How did we get to jeans? Jeez.
Also, I've heard a lot of people say that they couldn't even afford to buy their own house right now because of interest rates. And so there's no way they could even afford to do that or rent in this market if they didn't have their low mortgage interest rate. That's the only thing they're hanging on to.
Sounds good reason to stay.
Good reason to stay.
Yep.
Like so we talk about if you're really close to paying it off, that's a reason to stay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if I understand the math there though, but
Yeah, I mean, it could be, but it's also,
just means you have a crap ton of equity.
it also means that your gains have already been experienced, you know, for the most part.
Yeah.
Like if you've already almost paid that thing off, then you've benefited so much from that low interest rate that you're not really losing a whole lot. That's how I would look at it, you know, by selling it and moving on. So
If you plan to move within a few years anyway,
yeah, I think if you're thinking you're going to move in a few years anyways, the cost of refinancing or moving may not make a ton of sense to do anything. So it makes sense.
so
to just
rather
stay
than
put.
move now and move again in 3 years, going from 3 to 6,
Yep.
that's a pretty good reason to stay put.
Right. Yeah. Or if the benefits are just too small by making a move, like let's say you have an average size yard and you really want a big yard, or you have a 2.5 car garage and you really want a 3, you know, or something like that. But you're like, I can deal. I can just live with it. Like there's a lot of those people right now that
Yeah,
are
you
just
can spend
dealing.
money on organization stuff instead of
Yep.
buying the house.
Yep.
Or if you've got a house with a pretty good sized yard and it's tons of work and landscaping and whatever else, you don't want to deal with it anymore. You know, you can go to something that's more modern and xeriscaped and be done.
Yeah.
So it's that maintenance cost that, you know, most of the homes around us are, you're getting in that 30-year mark.
Yeah.
So a lot of things are breaking.
We
Yep,
kind of
totally.
glanced over it a couple of sections ago, but like that's the situation. If you've got a large house, you got a very low interest rate, and you're ready to downsize,
Yep.
go for it. You've got so much equity built up. You might be able to buy the house,
Cash.
the next house in cash, or finance very little. So the fact that it's a 6% rate is pretty relevant.
Yeah, and that's where a lot of baby boomers are at, as far as just rates don't matter that much to them because most of what they're doing is they're borrowing very little, if any, and taking mostly equity from their previous home to the next home. And so that's the average home buyer last year was 63 years old, which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
That the average age of a home buyer was up that high. And so, we're seeing things that we've never seen before in that category because the money is there right now. And we're about to see a transfer of that money in the next 10 years like we've never seen before as far as, getting to the next generation. And we'll see what they decide to do with that and what that does for them. Because if they're working with more cash in 10 more years, then interest rates don't matter as much to them either. They're going to be transacting a lot more. Those people are on the move because they're fulfilling their life needs
Could
instead
be
of
good for all. Like that's
worrying
what
about
happened
affordability.
4 years ago. Just there was so much free money, so to speak,
Yep.
with low interest rate that you could afford a house, and the competition brought them up. Free money is when it's actually money, cash. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see what happens when that money starts moving.
Yep, definitely. So reasons why it may make sense to definitely leave that interest rate and make a move. I think these are interesting, and a lot of people have experienced these. That for us, it was severely lacking space. Your family situation has changed, right? And that could be divorce. It could be growing family. It could be remarrying with more kids, right? Like some people have that going on right now. So there's a lot of reasons why that happens. It could be multi-gen. We're seeing a lot of that this year, especially. A lot of people that are caring for aging seniors, and they need a place for their mom, mother-in-law, father-in-law to stay and have their own separate space with no stairs. They need a main floor bedroom for that person in their family. So it could be extended family. It also could be just a need to downsize and consolidate and not, have to heat a huge house anymore because there's only 2 people in it now.
Yeah.
So that's a valid need. But you have to evaluate also, like, is the cost to downsize greater than the cost to leave my interest rate? And I think that's a valid question you got to look at. Being in a different school district. Okay, your kids need different opportunities in a different place. That's a big one that we're seeing. We're seeing it for sports too. We're seeing people make moves for a certain sports team or high school team that they want to be on, be closer to the practices or whatnot. That's absolutely happening with how much of a big deal club sports are in people's lives right now. And not just sports, clubs, all kinds of things, that kids are involved in. And then you're ready for just a different lifestyle, right? Maybe you're making a lot more money now, and you're ready to step up as far as just quality of home, that sort of thing. And you don't mind paying a little more on your payment. Those are all reasons why it may make sense now to make that move and leave that interest rate, as hard as it is. So how can homeowners make an objective decision without getting emotional about the rate? Let's talk about that. Some questions to ask yourself.
Some of these are pretty good. It's like the mirror. Like, if I had today's mortgage rate already, would the house I'm in still be the one I chose?
That's a good one.
All right. If not, if I were buying today, would I buy this house? If not, I don't want to take all these. Some of these are pretty good, though.
Yeah, it is kind of freeing. Yeah. Once you've left that prime interest rate, it is kind of freeing because then you can really evaluate, like, is this the right house for us or not? There's nothing like really tying you there.
Yeah, you're not held captive.
Yep. Is my current home helping or hurting my lifestyle?
It's pretty weighty.
Good question. Yeah. Some people are like, I don't really care. I don't have an ego. I don't have a lifestyle that I'm concerned about. Other people are like, no, lifestyle is really important to me. Like, I want to be closer to a lake. I want to be closer to a golf club. I want to be closer to all the things I can walk to, right? Like have more walkability in my life, have parks, have a dog park nearby. There's all kinds of things that, are lifestyle that may not be vanity, right? But they're like just things that you want for your own happiness. Like, I think that's a big deal. What opportunities am I missing by staying?
Commute time. That's the one variable that you don't get back.
Yeah.
Right. It's the hardest thing, and it seems to go at a different rate the older you get. So
Yeah, that's probably the best way to say this. I love this rate. I work over there. I don't want to give up this rate, so I'm going to drive an hour each way. You got to put a value on that.
Yep. Definitely. Yep.
Your kids wouldn't give a flying bleep about your 3% rate. They would rather you be around.
Yeah. Well, for some people, it's moving towards the mountains. Like I'm giving up on time where I don't go on hikes because I'm 45 minutes away from the trails.
Yep.
And I want to be closer to that. I want to be mountain biking with my kids, right? I want to be outdoors, experiencing more of that. This is why I moved to Colorado, and then I moved to the east side of town. I want to be on the west side of town.
the Kansas side.
Yep. So moving would allow you to do certain things, right? So you want to think about what those are. And, sometimes asking these better questions leads to better decisions. Is it worth it or not? So after all this discussion, what's been the biggest takeaway for you guys as far as just thinking through these things?
Sometimes you have to look up from the spreadsheets.
No.
I know it's hard to do.
Coming from you, Brock? No way. I don't believe that.
No, I think quality of life is a big thing to do that. So I happen to be in a spot where I upsized in home at the 3% interest rates. So I'm sitting in a good spot, but you had that decision a little bit later. So, but yeah, with 5 kids and what do you have, 3 bedrooms upstairs?
4 now.
4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
You used to have 3. Yeah.
Yeah, it was-
That's all it was.
but you had a great lot and a huge
Yeah.
part, right? So, no, lifestyle changes things. So
Yep.
I think we're all admitting that a 3% rate is pretty freaking awesome.
It is.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think
it's
we're
kind
just
of an unheard
saying,
of thing, but
yeah, and it's a very, very unique slice in this country's life. Like,
Yeah.
So we get to high 4s. That's not the same as like 2.75. So I think it's okay to acknowledge that's a great thing, but
Yeah.
this is a self-reflection type podcast. Is it the only thing it's not?
Yeah. Yeah. I think if money, like if $1,000 a month seems small to you, then your life needs are probably going to take priority over your interest rate. I think that's kind of how it goes. But if that seems really big to you, then you're probably going to look at that as, I'm going to stay put. I'm going to make it work. And it depends on the other life needs that you have in your life. How pressing are they, basically?
yeah.
So, yeah. If anything else you wanted to mention?
No, just look at the miles you're putting on your vehicle, right? That's wear and tear. So
Yeah.
that adds up too.
We're real estate agents. Do you know that? Right?
Yeah, I'm well aware. So.
20,000 a year, every year.
Every year.
It's bound to happen.
Yeah, but if you're driving 30,000 miles a year, how much is that going to cost you in time and behind the wheels? So
Yeah, for sure. Well, listeners, if you've been thinking and you're in the Denver metro area and you've got one of those really low interest rates and you've been debating whether you should retain it and just stay where you are, or sell that place and go buy something else, or turn it into a rental and go buy something else, we're here for you. We can offer pros and cons to every solution, walk you through and guide you through that process, and would love to help you and just kind of lead you by the hand, throughout that process on both sides, and help you with the order of operations that you need to know to be able to do that successfully and smoothly. So appreciate you listening, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Getting to Know You Denver podcast.